New trend, guys. During the month of November, what we're now calling No Snap November, let me give you a backstory. The federal government is shut down, and therefore SNAP benefits is not going to be paying their recipients. They're not going to be paying them. So therefore, they're calling it No Snap November. So I'm creating a new trend. First of all, if you see somebody stealing, no, you didn't. If you see somebody stealing food because they're hungry or homeless, you didn't see that. Your vision is bad and your mind's playing tricks on you, okay? Number two, but here's the new trend. If you see somebody that's dying of hunger and they have family members and they can't afford to pay for their food and they're resorting to stealing, pay for their meal. See, Jesus said, take all that you have, sell it, and give it all to the poor. If you have enough to pay for your way of lifestyle and you have far more than you need, then you need to do the right thing by your people. Because what you do to the least of them, you do unto me, is what he said. So love your neighbor. And during No Snap November, during Thanksgiving, feed them. Feed them. It'll go a long way. And maybe you'll change the hearts and minds of a few people on the way.
So it's late October, and this administration has said that they're not going to be sending out SNAP benefits next month. Now, like it or not, the counties that are the most impacted are going to be counties that voted for Trump because they're the ones that most utilize SNAP benefits. My question is, in the month of November, because Thanksgiving is in November, Thanksgiving is a holiday that revolves around food. And Thanksgiving falls particularly late in the month of November this month. So people are going to have expended whatever funds they have left by the end of the month. So in addition to that, with tariff prices and everything else, how expensive food has become, are they going to essentially starve out the population? I mean, Thanksgiving is a holiday where people get together. It's going to be noticed if people don't have food. So are they going to swoop in and try to do something at the last minute, or are they going to literally starve out the population on a holiday? That's the real, and is traditional media going to cover this at all?
I just learned so much about EBT or SNAP or whatever, and I'm kind of pissed off. I posted in one of my mom groups, tell me all of your EBT tips and tricks to get the most out of it. So honestly, just curious, because I have never had benefits or anything like that. Read through the comments and I started to get really annoyed because I have worked very, very hard since I was 14 years old and paid into this for people to basically be abusing the system. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are a family or a single mom or single dad and you genuinely can't afford food or to feed your family or whatever, and you need these benefits, no judgment at all. However, the people in these comments that are just abusing it was wild. Did you know that if you have EBT that you can get high-speed Wi-Fi from Xfinity for $15 a month? It's pretty fucked up because I pay over $100 a month for mine. They get half off of Amazon Prime. Why? Because having your things delivered to you within 2 days is essential. It's a survival need. Don't think so. Walmart delivery, Target Circle, Shipped, DoorDash, they all offer discounts for EBT. That to me is wild. So you can go and be lazy and spend your money on having whatever crap delivered to your door. That to me is a luxury. That's a luxury. Most museums, aquariums, and zoos are anywhere between $1 to $3 to enter. Again, these are luxury things. I don't take my kid to the museum every day because she needs to be entertained. These are special treats. We went on her birthday. We'll go for special occasions. Why do you deserve to go for $2 and I have to pay $25? Discounted Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. Are you fucking kidding me? This is what I'm saying by abusing the system. You're getting your EBT benefits, whatever, SNAP benefits, and you're not using it because you can't afford to feed your family. And those of you who are using it for that reason, great, fine. You need it, that's whatever. But the people that are like, I'm staying on it long term and I don't want to lose these benefits because of these benefits. This is wild. Why do you get the privilege of getting discounted things when we're working our asses off and paying for everything out of pocket? You get to go to the zoo for $2 and I got to pay $25, $30. You get discounts. You get free delivery from Walmart and I have to pay for it? I don't think so.
Many white Americans, especially those in rural areas, are now expressing frustration and anxiety over the impending cuts to SNAP. That's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which helps millions afford basic needs. For decades, you understand that conservative politicians have portrayed welfare and food assistance as programs primarily benefiting lazy or undeserving people, which to some extent they labeled black people as people who they provokingly thought that they depend on this. But they didn't know, or at least they didn't have well-informed information about themselves. Or probably the rich white people assumed that white people, like all white people, are also rich and can afford all these things without getting the food stamps, right? But they didn't know that majority of them depends on these food stamps. And there's a recent frustration that is coming from white people. They are complaining about all this. But again, this is so ironical because the same people that are complaining are the same damn people that voted for this administration. Brothers and sisters, I invite you to watch this video. It is really important that you understand that this narrative is deeply rooted in racial stereotypes, convinced many white voters to oppose social welfare policies, even though they themselves were amongst the biggest beneficiaries. Now, as the government reduces this support, the harsh truth is becoming clear. The system they supported politically is turning against them economically, and things are going crazy and everyone is complaining about all these things. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm inviting you to watch this video because we are seeing history in the making. Majority of these white people are not going to be feeding well on November. They're not going to be feeding well on Thanksgiving. But why? Because there will be no food supply to them. At least the food stamps, the snaps that they depended on is going to be cut. Yet this initially was believed to be lazy people who don't want to work, of which they labeled black people as part of people who are lazy that depended on these snaps. So brothers and sisters, I want you to watch this video. I'll be back with my commentary as usual, and I'm just asking, if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to see what I can offer you. But until then, let's watch the video. I'll be back with my thoughts and commentary in regards to this. So let's go.
This message is for all the people that are complaining that they're not getting their food stamps for November. What did you do with October's food stamp money? What'd you do? Looks like you're going to be going to the food pantry for your Thanksgiving meal. I know a lot of food pantries hand out turkeys for Thanksgiving. All the sides and trimmings too. Lots of food pantries. You better figure it out. I'm sick of hearing you complain, honestly.
That's evil. Like, I know if you've seen my face on this app before, you follow me, you're expecting thoughtful, nuanced commentary, and I'll get there. But my first gut reaction to that video is, it's evil. Full stop. It will not surprise you to learn that that person makes content about being a Christian. Yes, she does. We are very well used to the intersection of conservatism and Christianity in this country producing results like that. I haven't read the Bible in a long time, but I don't recall there being any passages that were like, fuck you, poor hungry people. You should have planned better. Go fuck yourselves. Like, I don't remember that. Even if you're not a Christian and you're just a quasi-observant human being, and understand that we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the history of the human race, And nobody has to be hungry on this whole planet, in fact. Oh my God, you guys, it's Jesus coming out from behind the clouds to tell me that, yes, I am correct. You should be feeding the fucking poor and loving your fucking neighbor. Let me say that again. There is no need for any human being on this whole planet to go hungry. We have enough resources to feed everyone on the planet. The only reason that human beings starve on this planet is because we humans have created systems that keep resources away from people who need them in order to make profit. The fact that we even have social safety net programs with stigmas attached to them means we have failed as human beings.
Did you stock up on pantry items and try to shop smartly? Or did you just go buy a bunch of processed garbage?
That's just Puritan morality and white supremacy doing a handshake. That's all that is. It's a moral judgment for needing to use food assistance in the first place, and then a further moral judgment about preservative-laden junk food, which is a moral failing somehow. Why? Because of diet culture / health and fitness culture, which all has its roots in fucking white supremacy. Starving people should be miserable, but generally speaking, only rich white people should get to starve themselves intentionally. If you're starving by accident, then it's because you're a fucking poor piece of shit.
By the way, you can thank the Democrats for the government being shut down and your benefits not coming through for November.
There's like a $6 billion contingency fund that program has, so that in case of a government shutdown, nobody loses their food assistance. This is, by the way, how people continue to receive their food assistance during the 2018 and 2019 government shutdowns in Trump's first presidency. Much like the GOP's continued insistence that somehow, despite controlling all of the government, all three branches of the government, it's the Democrats' fault that this shutdown is happening, they're holding people's food hostage for political purposes. This is a policy decision. Telling all the states we're not going to disperse funds for SNAP in November is a policy decision. They have the money to do it. They're not doing it so that they can say Democrats are starving people. They're holding literal children and elderly people and some of the most marginalized people in our whole country who need the most help. They're holding those people hostage and starving them for political talking points.
We always got food in our house, no matter what. I would take a third job. I have 2 jobs. I would take a third job if I had to, just to make sure my kids ate. What are you doing for your kids besides coming on the internet and bitching?
I hate to even make this point because, as I said at the top of this, there should be no stigma around any social safety net. And furthermore, we should all just be able to eat food. Like, this is something that we could solve. World hunger is something we can solve. A substantial portion of households that use SNAP benefits have elderly people in them, have children in them. I know in the state that I live, it's about 1/3 of the families using SNAP have children. There are disabled people who cannot work. There are people who do have 1 or more jobs. I hate to even enter into the rhetorical logic of people taking advantage and freeloading in the system, but it's just fucking not true. People who are on food assistance are working, or they can't work, or they are children. But all of them should have food anyway. Nobody deserves to starve. And if you think people deserve to starve, then you are evil. Who the fuck in their right mind gets on the internet and eats food to camera and then mocks people for having to make use of a food pantry so as not to fucking starve, and of all cultural holidays in America, fucking Thanksgiving, which is the food-centric holiday. Who does that? Somebody who wants to get engagement and make some cash on TikTok, and who is also possibly an awful person. That's just a guess. No one in specific that I'm thinking of. Food, housing, medicine, and safety are human rights. And if you think I'm naive, then I think you're a monster. Hope this helps.
Honestly, I'm very happy they're taking away the food stamps. That's great because y'all swear at the poll you were doing something to hurt immigrants and people who look like me. But now, all the rednecks and Mima and Papa and Junebug and Slutterbug and all y'all gonna be hungry this fucking Thanksgiving. Thank God. You thought you were shooting other people, you end up shooting yourself in the foot. Good. Like, great. I'm happy. Thank you. Majority of the immigrants who you claim are stealing your stuff, we don't even qualify for food stamps. Maybe y'all could use this hungry time to think about what y'all did at the poll last November. this Thanksgiving, maybe y'all can fast and repent.
If you are naive enough to think that the pause to SNAP benefits on November 1st isn't going to affect you because you don't receive food stamps, I want you to hear this. About 1 in 8 Americans receive SNAP benefits. In fact, in Oklahoma, where I live, that's 1 in 6 people. So about 600,000 people in my state alone, Oklahoma, receive SNAP benefits. About 1 in 4 children in the U.S. receive SNAP benefits. But you're not one of those people, so you don't care. But hang with me. When those benefits go away, just about $9 billion in grocery spending vanishes. So you've got to be thinking about not just the grocery stores being able to stay open and pay their employees, but you have to think about the entire supply chain, trucks on the road, people who provide food to these grocery stores. $9 billion. Every dollar spent in SNAP benefits adds about $1.50 to $1.80 to the economy. So cutting those benefits isn't saving that dollar, it's taking away that $1.50 to your local economy. But you don't receive SNAP benefits, you don't work for a grocery store, you don't drive a truck, you don't give a shit. But when all of those things happen, the only way to combat that is to drastically increase the price of groceries. Grocery prices are already up over 3% in 2025 alone, which is almost an entire percentage higher than the average increase in grocery prices over the last 20 years. I thought they were supposed to go down day one though. So even if SNAP benefits only pause for 1 month, which by the way would be detrimental to all the people I mentioned before that you don't give a shit about, it will cost the economy roughly $13 to $14 billion in profit. And you can expect your grocery prices in just that 1 month to go up at least 1%. And states will stand to lose about $300 to $500 million in sales tax revenue. So even if you do not receive SNAP benefits, you never have, you never will, you do not want these to be paused on November 1st.
Y'all need to get y'all's families together and have a big family meeting about how the holidays is motherfucking canceled. Yeah, cancel all of this shit. Everything is canceled, okay? Don't go out there buying all of these gifts, all of these presents. Don't go out there buying all of this. Furthermore, you need to start cutting down on your spending and stop buying unnecessary stuff, okay? Because the only way we're going to affect these people is to hit their pockets. They don't give a damn about us, all right? They done suspended SNAP benefits for the month of November. They said, hey, states, we ain't got it. How you ain't got it? How you ain't got it? But you're sending money to other countries. You're sending money to other countries and you're funding their food, you're funding their health insurance. Meanwhile, the government is shut down about an argument about health insurance and about other things that Americans need. But you're sending my money to another country. Shut the shit down. And before y'all get in my comments trying to talk shit, shut up. Okay? Oh, she's just mad because she's not receiving her food stamps this month. Baby, I don't even receive food stamps, but I have before. I'm not mad that I'm me personally not receiving food stamps. I'm mad about the direction America's going in. I'm mad for the people that's not receiving food stamps this month and that really need it. I'm mad that they cancel food stamps on the month where everybody gets together and spends the most on food, Thanksgiving. I'm mad about that when they know people need food. People that are really struggling are going to go without food. Homeless people are going to go without food. There are people that are going to be in the month of November starving. Food banks was already packed and already full. They're going to be even more packed than ever. And as a matter of fact, if you have the means and you feel like, oh, I haven't been affected yet, go ahead and give. Instead of spending money on bullshit this year, how about you go ahead and give to your local food banks? Go give some food. Go give some time. Go give some energy and help out. Because if it's affecting one, it can affect all. We're all going to be affected by this eventually. And it's no coincidence that they canceling food stamps this month. He wants us to go out and riot so bad so he can declare martial law. Y'all should be very upset. And if y'all can't get on one accord and stop buying shit up at the very least, baby, we're already done. We're doomed. We're done. Shut it down. Only buy necessities. Yeah, holidays is canceled. Don't go out there buying your kids $1,000 worth of gifts. Sit your kids down and have a conversation. It'll be okay. Let them know. We're fighting right now, sweetie. We are fighting. Your kids will understand. Let them know you're fighting for their future because right now it's not looking like they're going to have much of one. They'll understand. They'll get with the program. They'll adapt. They'll adjust. It'll be okay. You got to hit their pockets. You got to hit them where it hurts. They're not going to listen until you affect their money, affect their wallet. Since they want to take money out the government and a lot of these big corporations, big businesses are the ones that's funding it. Stop spending money. Yeah, holidays is canceled. Next 4 years, stop buying shit up. They don't give a damn about us. Stop buying shit up. Baby, don't go out there buying up all that shit. Sit the fuck down. Next 4 years, we sitting the fuck down.
Here's what I gotta say about all you people on TikTok crying about losing your SNAP benefits next month if this government shutdown continues. Well, if you can get on TikTok and you got the energy and time to do that, then you got the energy and time to sign up to do DoorDash. I tell you what, hunger is a great motivator.
Hey Tori, I'm not on food stamps or anything like that, but I'm going to advocate for people who need it. Here's what I got to say about a woman who's been divorced 5 times. If you've got time to come on TikTok and complain about things, then that means you have time to work on your own personality and hatred, because that's the reason why you've been divorced 5 times. Because I think your something borrowed is just your ex-husband's. And I can just imagine what your next wedding would be like. Your wedding cake should be 3 tiers just of divorce papers but covered in frosting. And I will say, I think Cupid is just tired of your ass, because after your 5th marriage, he filed for workers' compensation. But knowing you, you'd probably cut his benefits. And I genuinely feel like you have some kind of kink of shutting things down, kind of like that Hyundai plant that happened in Georgia. Kind of like how you did with your emotional availability. You know, Tori, if men aren't working out for you, maybe try women. You've turned the line "till death do us part" to "till Tuesday do us part." I bet all of your wedding vows came with an expiration date and a tracking number. And after 5 failed marriages, you legally can be declared a one-woman revolving door. And if you do have a 6th wedding, next time don't go rice, just throw in the towel. And since you said hunger is a motivator, you definitely look like you're motivated by food. So you talking about people losing their SNAP benefits is absolutely wild, because you've lost more husbands than they've lost groceries. Imagine just criticizing people for needing food assistance when your entire life has been sponsored by alimony. She's out here judging people for food assistance, all the while her entire life she's been emotionally bankrupt. You know, Tori, SNAP benefits are actually there to help families eat, while your unions never made it through the appetizer course. And honestly, if I saw you in a grocery store, I bet you wouldn't even be shopping. You'd probably be running background checks on aisle 5. But I definitely know the aisle that you wouldn't be on. It's the seasoning aisle. And I can honestly see why you and ICE have a lot of things in common. 1, they're looking for people with papers while you have divorce papers. 2, they chase after men while you chase away men. And finally, she's living proof that you can have everything in life, except for empathy, sympathy, and a single successful relationship. Anyways, Tori, if you see this, have the day you deserve. Bye.
So they just announced that if the government continues to be shut down, people will not get their food stamps in November. Millions of children, disabled, elderly, people who just happen to be laid off because this economy is trash and Trump's tariffs are ruining everything and small businesses are going under and they can't keep their employees, so people are losing their jobs. Those people will not be getting food in November. And Republicans are trying to blame Democrats by saying, oh, well, Democrats keep voting to keep the government shut down. No. Democrats are voting so millions of people don't lose their health insurance. So millions of people don't have to pay higher premiums. They're voting to reverse the Medicaid cuts that Republicans put in place. That's what they're voting for. Because Republicans rather help their corporate buddies in healthcare by trying to get everybody to pay higher premiums instead of provide affordable healthcare to millions of people across the country, which is their job. That's why the government is shut down. And they're willing to make millions of people starve to get it done. So if the government continues to be shut down, nobody's getting food stamps in November. Thank a Trump supporter near you.
Man, I fucking hope like hell EBT gets cut off November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Not only because it would just be good for everybody to see all the welfare queens be exposed for the deadbeat parents they absolutely are, but mostly because it would be really nice to just pay 30 to 40% less for all my goddamn groceries. Have a wonderful day.
So this man literally just said he is willing to let people go hungry. He is willing to let people starve so that he can save 30 to 40% on his groceries. One line of things that he consumes, to save 30 or 40%, he's willing to let people starve. This is a classic MAGA mentality. It's me, me, me. All they care about is themselves, and that's exactly why we are in the situation we are in. Instead of looking out for their fellow man and giving somebody help and allowing people to not starve and go hungry, he would rather selfishly save 30% on his grocery bill. That is the typical Republican MAGA today. Somebody who does not care about anybody but themselves and would literally not care if somebody went hungry and starved. Let that sink in.
Okay, so it's on the CNN News. So in the month of November, they told all the southern states to hold back Section 8 and their EBT benefits, okay? So that means that no Thanksgiving and no Christmas, okay? So therefore, you know what? Whoop-de-doo, okay? Whoop-de-doo. Because let me tell you something, American people. It was only supposed to have been a temporary thing, okay? I'm hearing people all up on this internet here talking about what they're gonna do. They was getting $4,200 a month. Oh, what they was gonna do. They was getting $1,200 a month in food stamps. But they all on iPhones. You're on iPhones, you're on Android. That's a luxury, okay? To the government, that's a luxury, okay? To the government, you're not supposed to have cable, okay? To the government, there's a lot of things that was not prioritized right on Section 8, because Section 8, was supposed to be on it for 20 years, okay? To get food stamps, was supposed to get food stamps for 17 years. I hear one lady said that she had one child starting on it, but she got 6. How did you do that? Okay, I can understand maybe 1 or 2, the second one slipped out, but you had another 4 more. So my thing is, you don't get no sympathy for people like that, because my thing is, then I hear a lady that was in a wheelchair and she's sympathetic, but then she got 8 children. How you do that? How you lay down in the bedroom and you get 8 children and you're in a wheelchair? I don't understand. So my thing is, it was only supposed to be temporary, okay? So what you got to do, okay, because back in the days, we didn't have no Hot Pockets. Back in the days, we didn't have all this extra foolishness, juices up on the refrigerator, all kinds of cereals. Okay, you got to go back to the basics. You got to go back to oatmeal and you got to go back to cornflakes, okay? Rice and chicken never gets old, okay? You're going to have to go back to cinnamon sugar on buttered toast. You got to go back to the basics. You got to go back to evaporated milk and sugar. That's your milk right there, honey, and put some little sweetener in it. And that's what you got to go back to. You got to go back to the basics. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. That never gets old, okay? You got to go back to Spam sandwiches. You got to go back to liverwurst, and you got to go back to those type of meats and stuff by the bulk, okay? Sardines and cans never get old, and crackers. You've got to go back to the basics, okay? So this is why you're not getting a lot of sympathy from American people, because we've been trying to get it out of the mud. Some of us only have $300 to $500 to last us to the next payday. And we got to divide that into 14 days, and we got to make it do what it do, okay? So that's why you're not getting a lot of sympathy from people who have to work, because we're paying for that. We're paying into that for you guys to live a life of luxury. I've seen people with see my nails. I do my nails myself because I cut that out because I'm trying to do some other things. I'm trying to work within myself and saying, Tina, what can you cut out to go ahead and save your pennies in the bank, because I'm a saving woman. You understand me? So my thing is, this is why you're not being a lot of sympathy from the working class, is because we've got to get it out of the mud ourselves. The government ain't helping us. We're feeding into the system so you can have a better life. That's why, okay? All right, God bless.
You want to know what's crazy? Now we see who need them motherfucking stamps. Well, now we see who really down bad and shit, who really need them more than us, huh?
I'm just gonna come right out and say it, because I simply don't care anymore. Fuck you, Democrats. Fuck you. Because of your stupid, idiotic bullshit, thousands and thousands and thousands of innocent children that have nothing to do with this are going to starve because you do not want to think about what's best for America. You want to think about what's best for other countries. Well, if you want what's best for other countries, move there.
So I tried to listen to her for the 5 minutes she asked so you wouldn't have to, but unfortunately, I couldn't make it past the 2-minute mark listening to this scab on the ass of America. As she says, fuck the Democrats. They're the ones closing the government. Miss, Ma'am, whatever you are, do you understand who controls the government right now? I understand it took some Democrats, but are the Republicans even talking to them? If you listen to Mike Johnson, the answer is no. They're not giving health care to illegal immigrants, as you like to call them. They are trying to make sure that somebody like you continues to have access to health care, that your premiums are not tripling, quadrupling in price, because understandably so, you and so many other people in this country will not be able to afford it. But because you have your head so far up Donald Trump's ass, you can't see around you to understand that MAGA and the Republicans are holding you hostage. He does not like educated people. Thank you for stepping to the front. You have proven the point. You do not understand what is happening, so please crawl back into the hole that you came from and leave this shit to the rest of us, because MAGA has taken you for a ride and you bought the ticket so you could go along on it. You don't know shit, so put down your phone.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. I'm your host and presenter Ejidok Stories. A couple of things that we need to discuss is the irony that is in this narrative and what we are seeing that is happening. Remember that white rural America has been one of the largest recipients of government aid through programs like farm subsidies, social securities, disability benefits, and SNAP, which is currently on trend that people are talking about. Yet, because of decades of racialized propaganda, many believed that these programs were handouts going to black or immigrant communities in big cities. Conservative leaders and right-wing media weaponized racial resentment, convincing rural white to vote for policies that cut taxes for the rich while slashing the very programs that kept their own communities afloat. This manipulation turned white working-class America into loyal voters for politicians who consistently undermined the material well-being. There's a psychological question that this white woman, I've forgotten her name, but this white woman asked, what's the correlation between poor white people always voting against their interest? They came to realize that a couple of things that makes this happen is one, lies. Somebody lies to you that your culture, that your race will be great. And as a result, you fail to see things economically. You start to reason with emotions rather than logic. And so when you make your decision, you make your decisions out of hate. And that's emotion. You don't think about the economy. You think about the greatness of whiteness. You think how you are going to benefit in this. But at the end of the day, it failed. You are not benefiting from it. In fact, since the person that you chose entered the seat, you have suffered long time as compared to way before. Now, you also need to understand that this situation exposes a deep contradiction in America's moral and political identity. Many white voters in rural states supported the rhetoric of small government, personal responsibility, and America First. Now, thinking it would punish those they viewed as undeserving minorities. Yet, the reality is that their own livelihoods depends on the same government assistance they condemned. Now, with SNAP's support scheduled to be cut in November, many are waking up the reality that they were never the priority. The government they trusted to represent their kind of people has been funneling resources outwards, both corporation and foreign countries, while neglecting the basic needs of its own citizens. Perfect case is Argentina. Right, $9 billion was slashed from the American budget. given out there to other people that they felt they needed the most as compared to Americans. Right. The contradiction becomes even more glaring when we see that at the same time the government is cutting billions in domestic support, it continues to send 9 billion or more in foreign aid abroad. Many Americans are starting to question this imbalance. How can a government claim to put America first while letting the citizens struggle to feed their families? And the truth is, U.S. foreign spending often serves geopolitical and corporate interests rather than humanitarian ones. It helps sustains America's global influence and protect elite investment abroad. Meanwhile, rural families, especially poor white ones, are left facing rising food prices, collapsing healthcare access, and the slow death of small town economies. This gap between government and rhetoric and lived reality is fueling a growing sense of betrayal and disillusionment across white America. You also need to know that this moment of crisis is also revealing class dimension of racial politics in America. For generations, elites used race to divide working class, convincing poor whites that they were superior to poor blacks, even when both groups suffered under the same economic systems. Now, corporate power and government neglect eat everyone. Poor and working class whites are learning that whiteness offers no protection against economic hardship. They are realizing that the real division is not black versus white, but rich versus poor. And unfortunately, this realization comes only after decades of voting for leaders who gutted unions, privatized healthcare, and destroyed social safety nets. Right? Also, you need to note that at a psychological level, these developments are shattering a false sense of moral superiority that many white Americans held. They once believed that self-reliance and hard work would protect them from the struggles faced by minorities. Yet, as wages stagnate, inflation rises, and social programs disappear, they find themselves in the same desperate position they once mocked others for. And the system that promised them privilege now leaves them abandoned, confused, and angry. The bootstraps myth has collapsed. And what remains is the uncomfortable truth that the government neglect affects everyone regardless of race. And in conclusion, I'd like to say that the backlash over SNAP cuts and the 9 billion sent abroad reveals the unraveling of a long-standing illusion in white America. The people who voted against their own interest are now forced to face the consequences of decades of political manipulation. What was once disguised as a moral crusade against welfare dependency has exposed itself as economic cannibalism. A system that consumes its own citizen while serving the interests of the elite and the military industrial complex. The tragedy is that unity could have changed everything. If black, white, and brown working class Americans had recognized their shared struggles earlier, they could have built a coalition powerful enough to demand real change. Now, the pain of white rural America might finally become the wake-up call that forces them to see what black America has been saying for generations. The system never cared about color. It only cared about control and profits. I'm your host and presenter Agent of Stories, but until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.